City on our knees, Toby Mac on Family Life Radio.
It's Peter and Shannon in the morning at 20 minutes past the hour, and we are thrilled to welcome to the show a good friend, and she has her first book out. Joy McMillan. She designed the cover of my book, and it is gorgeous. She's an incredible graphic designer and speaker, and she also has her new book out called XES, Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards and How to Get It Right.
So much for having me, Peter and Shannon.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So, first of all, Joy, where did the impetus for this book come from? Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, I traveled all the way from South Africa to America when I was about 16 and brought with me a lot of baggage. I saw this as an opportunity to start fresh, new land, new place. And so I buried a lot of the stuff that had happened to me in my past. And so when I got into a serious relationship and found, well, I should be living with full disclosure so that this person really knows who I am, I found that automatically I just had this facade. I wanted to put up, this is who I am. This is the pretty version of who I am. I was date raped at 15, and my way to deal with it, because I grew up in a Christian home, I had struggled in my adolescent years with my self-esteem and my self-worth, and so you cling to this as, well, this is so much of what makes me the good Christian girl. And so when that was taken from me, my way of dealing with that was just saying, well, I have nothing left to give, so if you'll hold my hand and tell me you love me, you can have whatever's left of me, which just drove me deeper into that pit of shame and self-loathing. And so I thought, well, when I move, nobody knows on this side of the world all the terrible things I've done. So I thought that I could cover it up.
Yeah, and you know what? You're not alone in that. I think that that's something that many, many people do, whether it's in a move or they go on vacation and pretend like they have an entirely different life.
Right.
But Joy, if you could hang on with us, we'd like to talk with you more about the subtitle of your book, Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards, and what you mean by that, as we continue our conversation with brand new author, Joy McMillan on Family Life Radio. Conversation with author Joy McMillan.
Why the subtitle, Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards?
Well, you know, I'm a pastor's kid, and so I am a poster child for a church girl. And I think that as Christians in the subculture of Christianity, we tend to go one extreme or the other. Either we have been fed that, well, don't do it, sex is bad, without following it up with, but this is why God says don't, because he wants it to be so good within that sanctuary of marriage.
Exactly.
We don't follow that up, and so we struggle to reconcile once we're married. Well, actually, God does want you to do it regularly and to actually enjoy it. And so there's that one end of the spectrum, and then on the other, it can feed rebellion when we give just the rules of Christianity. God says don't. Then we run the other way because we don't really understand God's heart.
There's a quote from the book that I really love, and it's, our spouse was never designed to complete us. Complement us, yes, but to fully complete us, no. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. I truly believe that God designed every human relationship to leave us wanting, including our marriage. And I think that at first, at face value, that sounds like an unusual statement, but we tend to come into marriage thinking, great, my husband's going to give me my self-worth, and he's going to basically lay out for me my value. And God designed them to reinforce that in us, but to not establish it. And so when we put that weight on them, not only are they living under an incredible pressure, but they won't meet it because they weren't created to.
Yeah, absolutely, Joy. Well, we would love to, if you could, just give us a couple more minutes of your time, because as you said, God created this intimacy for marriage, and the world has taken it away from the church. And so we'd like to talk with you about how the church can reclaim it. What's a healthy way we can get that back, as we continue our conversation with friend and author Joy McMillan, her book, XES. With Peter and Shannon in the morning, as we continue our conversation with friend and author Joy McMillan, her book, XES, Why Church Girls Tend to Get It Backwards and How to Get It Right.
Joy, you talked about why the church has not voiced this perhaps as well as it could have or should have, and I think most of us would agree that the church has been lacking often in this area. So consequently, we've seen the world hijack intimacy and turn it into something dirty and something which the church reacts to and says, don't do that.
It's the very definition of perverted.
So how do we in the church appropriate it back? How do we take it back to what God intended it to be?
I believe that the person who speaks the loudest and the clearest on the topic becomes the authority by default, whether it's accurate or not. And I think, like you said, that's the problem that we have right now. The world is screaming, this is what it's all about. And we haven't touched it with a 50-foot pole because it's so uncomfortable. But I really believe that if we pull back the veil within the four walls of the church and say, let's talk about this. Let's share where we struggle, because I think more people carry sexual baggage than really realize it or are willing to talk about it because it is so uncomfortable. If we can make it a comfortable place, create a safe place to share our brokenness and to share our struggles.
Well, Joy, as always, it's a pleasure. Congratulations on the book. It is available. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble, people. So XES is the name of the book by Joy McMillan. We'll put a link to your website on our show highlights page at myflr.org.
And Joy, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Yeah, and thanks for giving us this copy of the book to give away to the first caller who wants it right now at 888-888.